All right.
We're back.
Kind of back, actually.
Back from the dead.
Yeah, we were pretty much all sick.
Oh, we all got the flu. If we have a coughing fit, that's why.
Yeah. That's actually one of the worst experiences that I've ever had being sick.
Oh,
It was pretty bad. My arm was like outside the bed. It would be like freezing, but underneath it was like sweating so bad. I was like, this is the
well,
worst.
honestly, I didn't get it like too bad, but Hannah, like my wife, she got cooked, bro. She was in bed for like 5 days straight.
That's so trash.
Like she was cooked.
I was 3 days straight
In bed?
in bed, one day on the couch, pretty much, when you came over with the kids.
Oh yeah, you didn't even move. I kept going in and out. I was outside raking leaves for like 4 or 5 hours. And I came back, I was like, dude, it's still sitting there.
No,
I
and then
was
he
like,
sits up one time and he goes, I just want to close my eyes.
That drive was terrible.
He pulled the flu game. That's what I was
did.
calling on the way over. The MJ flu game. He came. And we're gonna
game.
sell this huge job on the flu. No, it was good.
I didn't even
Except he
wanna
gave
walk
it to me, dude. I was sitting in the car with him so long that I had it the next
Yeah.
day. Next day, Will Cole's like, oh no. I was like, this is gonna suck.
That was terrible.
Okay, well let's transition to our main topic and our saddest topic. Super Bowl reaction.
Really sad. Really sad.
Heartbreaking.
Super Bowl reaction
Devastating.
from Chiefs fans. That'll be the title of this video when I flip it out. First angle is just what's your initial reaction? You don't got to go in depth on it. Elijah, what's your
I
initial
won't go
reaction?
too in depth on it. I don't want to talk about it. But
goes, "I'm still
all I have to
thinking."
say is next year, Mahomes, I'm calling it MVP. I'm literally putting money on it. There's going to be a dog that is going to awake inside this man. Bro, did you see his all his posts and
Afterwards.
stuff? His post afterward, his comment was like, he's like, we'll be back. I saw him high-fiving his whole team, like crying, we'll be back here. We'll be back here. We'll be back here to every single one. He goes, dude, thanks, man. Yeah, we'll be back.
Hopefully, some of those guys may not be part of the team.
He didn't play in last year's Super Bowl because he got hurt in the AFC Championship. And then he was so excited to play in this one, and they got cooked, and he's just weeping on the side.
Yeah. His ring didn't even count for him, really.
Still got one, but
Sure, but like,
it's sad.
you didn't get to win out of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You didn't
Well, I
even-
heard Tom Brady talk about his losses versus his wins. He doesn't remember his wins as much as he remembers his losses. He goes, the losses never leave you.
Oh, they would hurt way more.
Not only do they hurt, but they also, you can learn from them so that it never happens again because the feeling is so bad. So Mahomes, if he's smart, which I think he is,
I
Well,
did
if you
too.
look at the last Super Bowl, they lost.
yeah, he's going to take that loss and he's going to double down.
I wouldn't be surprised if this guy, because he's so mentally there. Like he's got the same kind of mind that's kind of mentally crazy like Tom.
And Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he's kind of like, we're like that Kobe too.
Yeah,
like
they're
you're
kinda
sitting there,
cuckoo.
they're kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised that this man is like, I will not stop till a three-peat happens. But I think this next year, this guy's gonna be cracked. I think dude's gonna go off.
Well, let's see what happens with the trades. Let's see what happens with that movement.
One thing that would make me so sad is if Travis leaves, it's not that I'll be that like, because I'd be okay with him leaving because he's just old guy. He'd free up a lot of money, but it'd be so sad, dude. Because we just saw him like the last 7 years a part of the team being like a huge contributor. That'd be so sad, but I want him to leave a little bit.
What do you got, Dad?
Yeah, I think he's going to be.
No, initial reaction of the game.
Oh, man. Well, I've kind of been talking about it. I think, obviously, it's sad, but I think he's going to come back stronger from this loss. I think everybody's going to come back stronger, including the coach, the coaches, and I hope they do some changes on the O-line and stuff like that. So I think they can learn and get better. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
it
would
was
say.
sad, of course.
I actually think we're gonna be a good team next year.
Well, I think initial reaction of the game. Obviously, we got booty smacked. I've seen some hilarious videos of AI of Mahomes talking about how his cheeks still hurt from getting smacked. And I would say initial reaction is the O line. You can't have a left guard playing left tackle. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like the only reason they got away with it was because they were just doing like really short passes throughout the playoffs in those last few weeks, and Andy was just scheming things up. But when you have a defense that's that talented in the Eagles on every single position is like superstars, you can't really like scheme those things up because every single guy can make a play.
Yeah.
And the fact that we didn't have an explosive running back that scares the defense, they know you're going to pass. So they're just going to, the pass rush is just going to pin your ears back and go get Mahomes. And that's what they did past the first quarter. They just cooked him.
I mean, dude, they literally had, it was the same, because it was the same situation basically as the Bucs game.
I think it was actually worse.
No, it was a worse game, but
They didn't even
I'm
blitz.
talking about the worst. I think the worst thing that can happen to a team is giving the quarterback no time to pass.
Oh, yeah. It's the only way to beat a
The
superstar.
only way to beat a super quarterback
That was
is
the only
literally
way to
give
beat
him
Tom.
zero
That's what
time to pass.
That's all they aimed at.
Yeah.
They aimed at taking off Mahomes, and they won. Because
I
of
mean,
it.
your game plan as a defensive lineman is to just sack him every time. That's gonna be everyone's game plan in every game in the NFL. But when you just don't have a left tackle and there's huge guys coming at you, it's just not gonna work.
Well, I think there was two components to it. Not only did we get 0 points in the half,
The first half.
the first half, so that means they went after Mahomes.
Yeah.
But also, they also scored pretty high. They scored 40 points in the game.
Yeah.
So that means our defense wasn't that good. Yeah, we stopped Barkley.
No.
Well, we stopped Barkley.
Well, Dad, they had a pick six. They had
Two turnovers that were
they
right
had
at the end zone.
they had a bunch of. It was
Our
we
defense
threw-
actually
No,
wasn't
before
that
the half,
terrible.
14 points were given to them.
No, it was actually only,
was only
10.
10.
The
It
defense
was
only
actually-
allowed 10.
That's it.
Yeah, in the first half.
It was like 10.
So it was all Mahomes.
No, it was the O-line because the dude couldn't throw the ball, and then he just gets sacked. Or
No, I know.
like one of his picks, the first pick.
It was 2 picks, and then he got strip sacked, and then
Yeah.
like he fumbled. Like it's like that's 3 turnovers
Yeah.
that they score on. That's just because the O line, bro.
Yeah,
That's pretty.
that's
trash.
21 points.
right there. That's
Yeah.
so bad. I'm not actually that mad at the defense. They let 10 points. That's
In the first half.
that's a field goal and a touchdown. That's not that bad.
Yeah, it was just. I think it was the perfect storm. Like, is there like Super Bowl fatigue? Some people were talking about it. Like, I could see that. Like, it'd be mentally draining to go 3 years in a row to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that would just be tiring.
Like you don't have the dog anymore. You're just not like the. That's
Like,
why
I feel like as an athlete, it'd be hard to be motivated. Like, because the whole year everyone's saying, "Oh, you're not going to three-peat. You're not going to three-peat," and then you finally get there and you're like, "Well, we did," but then you're just like tired, bro. Like, especially with
I don't know about that.
Dad, the Eagles are just all young bucks that are mad from when the Chiefs beat them 2 years ago.
Well, hopefully now the Chiefs are mad to go back and kick the crap out of them.
that's what I think.
Well, yeah, and they'll get a bunch of young guys. They're actually still pretty young.
I'm actually gonna pay attention this year to the draft. I never pay attention. I'm gonna pay attention this year.
Okay, next topic with the Super Bowl. Do you want Travis Kelce to retire?
Yes. Yes. My heart says no. My emotions say no.
Your logic says yes.
But I think he did record. He had the highest recording yards this year out of all of our receivers. But I think that's
Rice is hurt too.
I think that's because we had no Rashid Rice, and it was like
We had a rookie Worthy.
we had Xavier Worthy as a rookie. I don't think that. I think he's just an average tight end coming into this next year.
Yeah, it's like Michael Jordan when he was when he moved on.
He's like a wizard.
Yes.
When he's with the Wizards.
That's exactly what this
MJ
is.
with the
The
Wizards.
Lizards. MJ
He
with
looks
the
tired. He looks old.
He doesn't like us like energetic as he did like
No.
even 2-3 years ago.
He can tell. He can talk about that he's all excited, but he doesn't look it when he's on that field. He looks like he's a grandpa.
Yeah.
Actually, when I noticed it the most was actually that Texans game. Especially there's that one big play he had where he had so much space that he could have scored. And I was like, 2 years ago, he would have scored that.
No, actually.
Yeah, and I think even Xavier Worthy said that. He's like Prime Kelce would have scored that. Prime Kelce would've scored
I mean, from what I hear, he's a great guy to have on
In the
the
locker
in the
room.
team.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's encouraging and helping the other guys become better teammates.
Yeah.
better catchers, etc. But that's great. Maybe volunteer your time next year. Do it for free because he is just not putting out.
Well, yeah.
So I think if he goes, it would be great for the team.
How much
to
money
have-
is it even
It's
cost?
20 million on the books.
Yeah, it's pretty
So like if he comes back, I wouldn't be mad. But
wouldn't
I'm
either.
sure they would ask him to take like 10 million or something and pay him in bonus at the front. So it doesn't hit the cap.
Oh, that'd be great.
Like if he plays for 10 million.
do it for 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're only going to pay him in 1 year, probably.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he has 2 years left on his deal, technically.
Oh, he does.
Yeah. So they would push it up. But yeah. Okay. Do I want Travis Kelce to retire? Yes, if it's for $10 million to come back. Like, if he comes back, I'd want it for $10 million. But maybe we should transition to our next and main topic of the episode.
Yeah.
Do you want to...
Yeah, let's talk. How do you talk to your kids, or when do you talk to your kids
This one's
about
for the dads.
sex, or about their sexuality and all that? So, yeah, it's for the dads. I think the moms can also learn from this too, and even young dads that have kids.
He's laughing. Why are you laughing?
Because I'm just so excited to share the story of when he told me about sex, bro. It was so funny. Can I please?
God, just go for it.
Before you, like,
Okay, go.
This is gonna. I just can't wait, bro. Okay, I need to tell you about the time where my father told me what sex was. Okay.
Well, it wasn't one sex talk.
No.
We did a
We'll
lot
go
of
into
weird-
this. We'll go into this.
Well,
but you
sure,
tell
here.
the
So
story.
we had multiple talks, slowly getting into on a little deeper level, and we had this little Christian books that were kind of educational. These
How old are you?
Cartoon sperm and stuff.
How old are you?
Okay, so at this point, I think when you told me like everything, like this goes in this, and then and, like all of it. Okay, I think I was 9. I believe I was 9.
Nah, you're probably around 10 or 11.
Probably 10 or. I think the first time you talked to me, I was 9 or 8.
Sure.
I think something like
For
that.
sure,
I think I was probably 10 or 11. Okay. This conversation. I walk in, Dad tells me, dude, I don't know if you're going to have to like bleep this or something, but this body part goes in this one, and then this is how you have a baby. And then I was like, are you serious? So I connected the dots in my head. I was like, okay, so I have siblings. I'm here. My mom and dad did this. They did this, bro. Like, if they have to do this to have a baby, like, I exist. I exist because of this.
So pause. I ask every kid, do you have any questions? Michael said, no, I'm good. Gabriel said, no, I'm good. And now Elijah, I'm assuming
I'm sitting here pondering this thought, and then this exact thought that I just said. And then Dad asks me that question, says, what, you have any questions? What do you think? And I was like, so
I got one question for you.
I have one question. So you did this to Mom? And then he just starts laughing, dude. And then he just goes, nah, she did it to me. And you so said that, bro. And you just started laughing so hard. And Mom just sitting there all nonchalant, laying down, just starts laughing like,
That's funny.
She did it to me.
and I still didn't know what that meant. He's just laughing. I was like, bro, I'm serious.
It's hilarious. Okay, well, maybe you should just say, like, give preface, like, what's the importance of talking to your kids about sex, especially with culture today? What are good ages to start, and then just go into it?
Yeah, I think age is one of the most important conversations because a lot of parents, they just don't want to talk about this subject.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to their kids about it, and they kind of hope for the best somehow because usually they're not taught themselves. Like, no one really talked to me. Okay, I learned it in school. No, I'm not talking about from a teacher. I learned it from conversations with buddies.
Like bozos.
The locker room.
The bozos, the locker room, baseball diamonds. Like, I picked it up, and you couldn't really ask questions, couldn't really talk to them, and half the time it's wrong information because they don't know what they're talking about. They've never done it.
They're like 14.
They're 12.
Yeah.
You know, and so when is the right time to talk to them about sex and sexuality? So here's a better statistic, I think, that is the most important statistic. If you look online when the first time viewing for pornography is, when you guys were little,
No, it blew my mind when he told me this.
when you guys were little, it was 11 years old.
I remember that. And I remember that being crazy. I remember you were talking about sex and you were preaching. You were giving that statistic as 11, and everyone thought that was insane.
Well, now it's not 11. Now
Yeah.
it's 8.
Wow.
It's 8?
It's 8.
I thought you told me he was 9.
So can think
Holy
about that.
crap.
It ranges from age 8 to 11 years old. First time viewing for pornography.
Bro, their balls hasn't dropped yet.
Yeah, and it's by accident. So it's not like they meant to.
That's so random.
Dude, I
Anyways.
didn't even know that's possible.
So when do you talk to them? Here's my first point. If a parent is not going to teach their kids about sex and their own sexuality, which every child questions their sexuality. Every kid will question, do I like boys? Do I like girls? I don't even know. Like, I see mom and dad, but what if they don't see mom and dad? And what if they don't see a good role model? So they're gonna wonder. They're gonna be curious. They're gonna question. They're gonna doubt. All sorts of things are gonna come around their mind.
They're gonna find out on their own.
And they're gonna find out on their own because the media is not being quiet about this subject.
Yeah.
Every movie, every song on the radio is infiltrating their minds when it comes to sexuality. So not just pornography, but all this stuff all around us is screaming, not quiet, but it's screaming sexuality. Screaming about what is your sexuality? Who do you love? How do you use it? Like all these things is being screamed at. So parents have to, this is the foundation. Parents have to decide, I'm going to be the coach and I'm going to be the trainer to my child. Because I'm the one teaching them how to eat and walk and, teach them manners and all this stuff. Why would they not be the coach and the trainer for sexuality?
Of the thing that culture is talking the most about.
Right.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And they're passing it on to maybe youth pastors, maybe pastors, or maybe a youth group, or maybe a camp. But why are they waiting so long? And if they're waiting so long until they're 16, 17, 18 years old, man, so many questions and so many belief systems have already been implemented that it can be a little too late by the time they're 16, 17 years old. So I don't recommend it. I recommend young. And here are some things that I have found through the years that have helped. So the first thing I would say is begin conversations early.
Like at what age?
8, 9 years old.
Okay.
Obviously, it has to be age appropriate. So, yeah, we use books when you guys were all little.
And what were the name of those books?
I forget, but it was by, if I remember right, by Focus on the Family.
Okay.
And they were cartoon pictures, and they were not that big of a deal, but they began the conversation. And some of the first conversations that I had with you guys were about protecting yourself from anybody else. No one is allowed to touch you. Okay, stuff like that. And if anyone does, this is what you do at that moment. Because there was no one that was going to mess around with my kids. And statistics, not only is their first time viewing pornography so young, but also someone sexually abusing your children is such a big deal. And it's usually someone close to you. So we never did sleepovers. Absolutely no sleepovers. And you guys never understood why you couldn't go and sleep over somewhere. But it was the answer to it was always no. Because I don't know how those people live. I heard so many bad stories that I just pretty much said, no, none of that stuff is happening. So the first thing is protecting the kids. So protecting your body parts. And learning about your body parts more than it is learning about somebody else's body parts. I say every 3 to 6 months, you're having a conversation with your kid in some capacity.
After you're 9 years old.
After 8, 9 years old.
Okay.
About their body parts, about protection. But then you're going to go a little bit further. Because they're asking questions like, where do babies come from? You know what my mom told me?
Belly button.
The belly button.
That's wild.
You know how stupid I sounded in public school saying that kids come out of belly buttons? I mean, don't lie to your kids.
That's wild.
Belly button? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. There's a button. Don't do that. So, tell your kids the right question, the right answers, the truthful answers about those situations. And I would say, so small increments of information every 3 to 6 months. So 2 times a year, 3 times a year, you're having a conversation with your child. And then I would say, and this is a big one, tell your kids struggles that you've had that you've overcome. Okay, so things that I've dealt with, you guys knew about them. And I wanted you guys to know about them for a couple reasons. One, it builds trust with you. So now I'm one and the same with you. These are areas of my struggle that God has helped me with. And the second reason it's really important is so that you actually feel like I'm a part of your team, and
Not just telling me stuff.
I'm not just telling you information. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But also, this area that I've actually dealt with, it might come and knock on your door too. And if it does, this is how you should respond to it. So I wanted to make sure that you guys were empowered to know how to deal with it, to not look at yourself as you're alone and this is only happening to you and dad doesn't know what he's talking about and all those things. And then I also think, and as you guys got older, I did share a video that was another part of the arsenal, which is a Ted Bundy serial killer video.
That's right.
And that video was meant to scare you, was meant to shock you. It was an interview between James Dobson, it's on YouTube, by James Dobson with Ted Bundy, who was a serial killer who killed a lot of women. He was a lawyer, good-looking, smart lawyer who actually came from a Christian home. And the next day, he's going to be killed on death sentence.
He's on death row.
He's on death row. So he invites James Dobson to interview him, and they have a conversation. And what he says in the interview is that he got there, how he got there, was because of pornography in his life. And when I saw that, I was shocked. And he even fell into pornography by accident. By a next door neighbor's garbage can, he saw a Playboy magazine.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so
And the guy was literally throwing it away too. That's nuts.
So there he is, a little boy, gets curious, gets addicted, and ends up becoming a serial killer because of it. Obviously, there was a lot more to play in his mind that he allowed and never stopped. Continued on in it.
Yeah.
But I wanted you guys to know, we can't control this fire. And the more you feed this fire, then it can actually end up just like Ted Bundy. And so I wanted you guys to watch it. I wanted you guys to see it. And there's many other things that we explored. Go ahead.
I remember there was what was it? I watched a documentary. It was on the Unabomber. He had the exact same thing. It was the exact same way. It started with pornography, and then it slowly perverted and twisted his mind until he was all the way or exactly in the same spot that Ted Bundy was.
Yes.
So, it's kind of crazy.
It's common. This thing is common. And the things that we don't want to do later on in years actually probably came from the seed of pornography many times. And, I've shared many things to you guys in private, but I wanted to build trust with you guys. I wanted to build a relationship, not just like, don't do that, don't do that. That's a big mistake. Having open conversations where you trust me to ask questions, but also tell you, hey, I've overcome in this area, and this is how I overcome. And I also brought resources to us, even as guys, like we did a course from John Bevere on pornography.
It's called Porn Free.
Porn Free.
Yeah, that's right.
We did that one. So whatever I could to educate you guys, to help you guys, because I knew that it's bombarded in every direction. Wherever you turn, it's everywhere. So I wanted to have open conversation with you guys, but I also wanted to give you tools to strengthen you. So I don't believe in just confessing. I believe in tools that you will need, and every kid is a little bit different. So I wanted to make sure that you guys have the tools. And I'm not done yet. I still have other kids.
Yeah.
So, but with you guys, I wanted to make sure that there's open conversation, tools, some shock and awe stuff, and then Bible study. It's literally straight up, let's look at the Bible. What does the Bible say about our bodies, our temples, and all these things? So those are the things that I would say is that you're actually having open conversation with your kids. You're not afraid of the topic. Parents, for the most part, especially if their personality is to like,
Why do parents avoid the conversation?
because there's two reasons I think. One is they don't know how to talk about it.
It just makes them nervous.
Yes, it's kind of weird.
Why would it make you nervous?
Well, it's just kind of weird. It's odd,
Yeah.
something that's so intimate, so personal. Now you want to talk to your kids about it, so they kind of, if they do talk about it, it's like don't do that. But that's not good enough. God gave us our sexuality to use it properly. So the second reason they don't is they think that if I tell them the bad stuff that I've done, I'm giving them permission to do those things. That's very old school thinking. So I don't want to give you permission. So I don't want to tell you what I've done so that you can't just say, well, he did it. And there you go. But if I tell you not to do it and look at the mistakes that I've done with regret and look at what God has done for me, then you're not going to go, oh, my dad did it, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So it's all in how you're presenting the topic. So I see a lot of parents just steer clear from it and hope for the best and hope someone else does a good job of having that conversation with them. Or they'll have the one conversation. Like one conversation, one time. No, I'm sorry. I think that's a mistake. Because there's many parts to this thing. It's my sexuality, my body parts, and then there's other people there, and then there's fornication, and there's actual sin and pornography and all these topics that have so many branches that I think the majority of the branches have to be talked about. You have to talk about homosexuality. What does the Bible say about homosexuality? What does the Bible say about sin and repentance and being clear and pure? I mean, there's so many Bible verses that talk about for the pure in heart will see God and all these things like that. So we have to have this conversation as parents and even moms and dads tag teaming on this. And music plays a big part to this because it can educate, not only educate, it can create the meditation of their heart. And so also, if you keep so much attention to it, this is the bad side. If you talk too much about it, then you bring so much attention to it, then the child can actually become obsessed about it too. So there's a fine balance that I would say on this subject. But more than anything, if parents become educated themselves about it and put tools around their kids' lives, they're not going to walk in that stuff. Their kids won't.
What's the negative part about if a parent just, because you have said why parents should give real examples of why they shouldn't do this in their own personal failures, rather than the old school approach you said where it's like it's not giving them an excuse to do it basically. Why is it a problem to not explain the why and to just say it? Why? What's the bad results that can happen with that?
Of not sharing
Why?
behind
Just
the why.
saying don't do it.
Yeah.
What's the bad things that can happen to a parent and to a kid's life by not doing that?
That's actually something that I've wrestled with for a long time. Even taking the subject out of just let's talk about another subject, any other subject, dating, drugs, anything like that. If I just tell you no, or I just tell you what not to do about that subject, what happens is I don't have a relationship with you. Okay?
Okay.
You and I don't have a relationship. We're talking about rules.
Mm-hmm.
So then I really do have to talk about curfew. You got to be home at this time. You know what it tells? What it tells you? I don't trust you. Okay? I'm not saying all curfews are bad. That's not what I'm saying. Because certain,
Yes.
you have to be in bed for a certain reason. That's a good thing. What's not a good thing is if I'm just creating a bunch of rules for you to abide by without you knowing why those rules are there in the first place. So when it comes to dating or drugs or steroids or music or movies or nudity or pornography, all these things, I really need to take the time to tell you why so that I can have a relationship with you, because what I value more than the rules is a relationship between you and me. And if I don't have a relationship between you and me, and I just am telling you a rule book, that's how you're going to view God. God is just a rule book. And instead, I want to value conversation, questions, curiosities.
So the problem is that if you just give them the no and not the why, it's a problem because you're supposed to be the role of the father, basically. God the Father. You as a parent, you're supposed to be taking on earth the role of God the Father.
Yep.
And God the Father doesn't do that with us.
Right.
When he has conversation with us, he talks to us, he gives us the why on stuff. He gives us
The entire book of Proverbs explaining why not to do specific things.
Right.
yeah, he gives us entire books on things he's already said on what not to do, and why. In the Bible, there's pretty much a why on everything, with probably a physical example of something that happened to somebody when they
Right.
did do it.
Right.
So the problem is that it's also, if you don't share the why, you are not, and I think you would agree with this, you're not being a good example of the Father in your home, basically.
Yeah.
God the Father in your home, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Because also the rules would tend to happen with people who actually, because I've seen parents that just throw the rule books. You're not allowed to do that, but they don't tell them that the beauty of the why. Then what happens is I'm not empowering you to make your own decision. That decision that I want you to make, I'm not empowering you to make it. I'm not giving you the information. So I always wanted you guys to have the information to be empowered to make that decision all on your own. Because if I have to control you all the time, on every part, from the time you come home, time to go to sleep, who you're going to hang out with,
Yeah.
movies and music, I can't watch you 24/7.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if I'm trying to control every hour? It's exhausting, number one.
It's what a lot of parents do, though.
A lot of parents who
Yeah.
are afraid of their kids walking a certain way tell them what to do, what not to do, but they don't tell them the why. So then you're not empowered to make your own decision or to come into agreement. Do you agree, Michael, that this is the best decision for you? Do you agree, Michael, these are the type of friends you should have? Do you agree, Michael, that this is the type of music you should be listening to? Do you agree that this is the type of books you should be reading? Do you agree that these are the types of movies you should be watching? So I have to bombard, and it's really about investing the time early so you don't have to be watching them later. But if you don't, then you have to control. You have to put apps on their phone to know exactly where they're going. You have to be controlling every part of their time, of their watch hours. You have to be controlling them in like a hawk. Well, that's exhausting. And I don't think it's empowering, because as soon as that kid gets the freedom away from you, they're not gonna.
They're gonna do all the things that you told them not to do,
Right.
basically.
But they were not empowered, and they did not make those decisions for the last 5 years. So now, at 18, 19, 20 years old, they are free from your guys' authoritative viewpoint. And now I can do whatever I want. Now I can go and taste it. Now I can go and do it because no one's watching me. So, because they did not make those decisions on their own early on. So empower your kids. So to summarize, empower your kids to make those decisions, telling them why. And you do that with also sharing your own weaknesses, your own failures mixed in there, and telling them the why. So
Man, I can't believe it's 8 years old. That's crazy.
Okay. Well, that's everything we have today for this episode. We're going to start doing a few more episodes coming up this week. So look out for them. Please like and subscribe. Share this with any other dads or fathers or Chiefs haters if they want to see a reaction to the Super Bowl from Chiefs fans. But yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day.
boom.